Hey, everybody. This week we're going to work on preparing ourselves for our practice interview, which will be coming up next week. And so we've worked on resumes and cover letters heading into this. We did that earlier in the year. And so the idea is your resume and cover letter kind of pave the way to the interview. That's step one. Getting offered the interview is step two on your journey to getting the job. And so just want to go over some tips to keep in mind when you're heading into your interview. So, one of the first things you need to do is be prepared for some common interview questions. So, some of the more common interview questions are, what are your strengths and weaknesses? What is your willingness to work, ability to learn new things? Where have you worked, volunteered? Where have you solved problems in previous jobs? So, in particular, you really want to look at how your qualifications match up with what the employer is looking for. And if you have any weak spots, you need to think about how you can address that. And sometimes you can figure out ways that your prior skills may not be the exact same thing, but they would transfer over into this job. So you want to make sure you kind of do your homework in advance. Um, Another thing that people often fail to do is come up with questions that they have for the employer. One of the things I like to do is research a potential employer, go online and look them up and see what they're all about. You can see if they have a Facebook page and come up with some questions that you might have based on that. It lets the employer know that you're actually really interested in their company or business and shows that you're serious about getting a job there. So, along with that, just as far as the job goes, you can ask them, what are my day to day responsibilities? Who do I report to? What kind of computer software do I need to use? And so on. So, when heading to the interview, you should show up with a notebook and pens. You should bring extra copies of your resume, cover letter, reference list, any licenses or transcripts you might need if you are if you're looking for a job that requires a portfolio. You should bring some work samples to show. If you are a landscaper, you should bring pictures of some of the things you've worked on, so you can show them the kind of work that you're capable of. So on the day of the interview, you should make sure you show up 10 to 15 minutes early. Try not to be any earlier than that, but certainly don't be any later. You want to make sure you give yourself a little bit of a leeway to get there in time. You should go by yourself. Your mom and dad do not come with you to the interview. Your friends don't come with you to the interview. Any children don't come with you to the interview. You go by yourself. You should look professional and appropriate for the job. Obviously, not every job is going to require you to wear a three-piece suit, but you should wear nice looking clothes. If it's a job in which you'll be wearing jeans, wear a nice pair of jeans and a decent shirt that you could work in. Dress for the job that you want. You need to make sure you leave your coffee, soda, backpack, everything in your car. Don't bring that into the interview. Also, make sure you turn off your cell phone. Getting interrupted in the middle of an interview by your cell phone, an alert coming through, would indicate to the potential employer that you might be distracted by that during the job. So turn it off so that nothing can come through. Probably most important is bringing a good sense of humor. People like that. So when you come into the interview, be friendly, be confident. But ultimately, you're looking for a job from them, so you need to let them have control. We'll talk about shaking hands later on, but when you shake hands, you should shake hands firmly. You should only do this if a hand's offered to you first. You want to maintain eye contact. You need to listen carefully to what questions are being asked of you, and you want to answer them honestly and directly. So you should have some answers ready to go before you respond. It is okay to take a moment to reflect on a question that's been asked. If you need to kind of put together and formulate your answer, they ask a question, stop and pause a minute and think about it. It shows that you are thoughtful and introspective, that you will think about these things. But make sure you answer those questions directly. If there are some gaps in your work history or things like that, you should be prepared to answer them, but answer them in a positive way. We want to avoid speaking negatively about our previous employers. When you think about it, the way you want to go about it is all your previous employers, good or bad, they offered you some sort of experience. And so you want to look for it that way. And moving on is an okay thing. People do that. So your reasons for moving on, we want to be positive and talk about, I wanted to search for other opportunities, or I wanted to challenge myself, not I got fired, my boss was a jerk, or whatever. Ending the interview, we want to end with a good impression. So, if you can, restate any strengths or positives and experiences that you think would make you really good for the job. If you are really interested in the job, be sure to say so. You can ask the employer, do you know when you're going to make a decision, or when can I expect to hear from you? And that's about it. Let it end on time. It is okay to send a thank you note or a letter after the interview. It is not okay to send a gift basket or anything like that. So, but certainly it's an okay, sending a thank you note also has another advantage, is if, like a lot of people, when you get done, you think, God, I should have said this while I was in there. A thank you note gives you an opportunity to kind of slip that in. Hey, thanks for taking the time to interview me. I'm really excited about the potential to work for you. One thing I forgot to mention is that, I've done this, and I think that really fits with what we're talking about. So those are some tips. Some of the top reasons why people don't get hired. We've talked about this with our applications. Same thing with the resume, if it's incomplete or sloppy. Having a lack of interest or enthusiasm about the job would certainly not help you get it. Being vague when you answer questions makes it seem like you're maybe trying to hide something. Having a negative attitude about past employers is also a big one that can sink you there. So make sure you express your appreciation for them giving you the opportunity to interview. Make sure that you are positive and enthusiastic about your answers. Make sure you're honest with them, and give yourself the best chance to get this job. Hey, have a good day, everybody.